everyone, and welcome to this episode of an Ingenious U Mini. I am very pleased to be joined today by my colleague, Dr. Mela Dutka. Dr. Dutka serves as coordinator of the Doctorate in Education, the EDD in Educational Leadership Program, and is also one of the professors in the program. So as always, we'll provide a link to Dr. Dutka's bio, her full bio, in the show notes. But for now, Dr. Dutka, I am delighted to welcome you to the Ingenious U community.
Thank you, Melissa. I am delighted to be able to talk with you today about it.
Why don't we just jump right in? And I want to start by asking you to tell us something about what your role is with the EDD program and what do you teach?
Great. Yeah, I'm happy to do that because I'm in a really fortunate position because my role is not just as an assistant professor in the program, but I also serve as the program coordinator. So I have the opportunity to, first of all, serve as the academic advisor for all of our HELOS doctoral students, which is great. It means I get to not only after I interview them, but spend time with them throughout all 3 years, assisting and working with them as they traverse their HELOS journey. But it also means that I oversee the administrative aspects of the program, and I work closely with faculty. And much like students, it's a real delight to work with our faculty who are engaged, enthusiastic, and experienced individuals. So one of the things that I'm proudest of and enjoy the most in that work is that we've really forged a faculty team to support students. So it's been a real delight doing that kind of work on the administrative side of the program. In terms of teaching, again, one of the things that I've had a good opportunity to do in the first year of the program, I co-taught with Dr. Morris Olson, the leadership course, the first leadership course, and then moved to teach routinely the last of the Leading Change seminars, the capacity building course, helping students really look at issues for their organization and their own work, of how to really build and support their organizations, looking at strategic planning, financial models, and really using some of the theoretical knowledge about how organizations work as systems to really think about how they can leverage that in their own day-to-day work and their own leadership. But primarily, I've been working over the last couple of years in the second and third year of the program. So it means that I've been teaching the second year colloquium courses that work with students as they begin to delve more deeply and begin to form their research focus, begin to work on their dissertations. So I have been working with students and helping guide that process. And I've also played a role in developing our research methods courses, which really use that action research focus that we talk about in the program. So really helping, and again, this is part of both in my teaching and the coursework of helping students move through this program in that critical second year. And then finally, in the third year, I've been teaching 2 of our 4 dissertation courses where we work with students. We use an embedded model where students in that third year work in courses on their dissertation. And so I have taught the first and the last course, helping students kick off that dissertation writing and the first 3 chapters. And then the last course, looking at the results of their research in the study and helping guide them along with their dissertation committees and chairs to complete the dissertation. So I am very fortunate in that I have really had an opportunity in my teaching and the work that I've been doing to work with students through all 2 or 3 years, depending on their tenure in the program. It's been a real delight for me.
Now, if I were interviewing some of your students, how would they describe what the classroom experience is like with you? How would they describe you as a faculty member?
That's a great question, Melissa. I think one of the things I hear back from students, and it depends a little bit on where we are in that journey. I think in terms of the content courses, particularly the capacity building, I have an enthusiasm for the work that I do in that course, and talking about why capacity building matters, why strategic planning is important, why understanding financial models are important. And try to communicate not just that this is sort of dry material, but there's some things of interest to be understood about it. And so I think understanding and students, perceiving that not only do I understand, can help them apply that in practice, that there's a real joy to doing that. So I think that knowledgeableness is there. I will also say that I think students at times will say I'm challenging in a good way, and asking them to dig a little deeper, to think about how this applies to their own work, developing their own understanding of the material in ways that really are important for them and ultimately important for them at later stages in the program. And because I do a lot of dissertation related work, I do advise students and on their dissertations, and I work closely with students as a dissertation advisor. I think at that point, students really talk about not just the guided nature of the program, but that I spend time with them, helping them understand how to do this well, trying to anticipate where they might run into problems and help them navigate through that. Both helpful, supportive, anticipating their needs as best I can. And also, again, helping to challenge them a little bit in ways that really produce the best possible results that they can. And so that they know that I'm very much a partner in this journey. And I think that's a lot of what students have I think, reflected as we've talked, and they talk to other students.
Indeed. One of the other things I hear students talk about is the fact that you bring so much depth of experience because you have been there, you've done it all as a senior leader in
Yep.
higher education, and you're able to bring that experience to bear and help students contextualize what they're learning just by what you're able to share with them. So I think that's another real strength that you bring to the classroom. In regard to your professional background, can you tell us a little bit more about your professional interests and your research interests?
Yeah, and if it hasn't been apparent, my professional interests have always been about higher education, particularly the higher ed organization. I come to higher education and have spent most of my career in administration and later years in senior level administration in the student affairs side of the house. So really working with institutions and departments and staff and others. And how does a college or university build really both productive and important out of class experiences that really leverage in-class learning and really develop it in a seamless way to help produce important student outcomes, educational outcomes, accomplishment outcomes, and so that out-of-class experience has always been something of great interest. But to do that work well, you have to understand higher education. You have to understand colleges and universities. You have to understand students. And so I think from a very early period, kind of decoding and analyzing the college as an organization was always of interest. And my skill as an administrator really, I think, both depended on and was advanced by my own academic training in the higher ed organization. And so that's why I say I get excited by this stuff, because I think it's interesting, not just in and of itself, but because of what it allows you to do and how when you link that understanding of the organization from a theoretical perspective, it enables you to do really effective practice and change management. And so, I feel incredibly fortunate to have landed in this role where I get to do the best of both worlds, which is to really explore continue to explore higher education and the changes that are going on, and to help that next generation of leaders. And so for me, the research interests are really one and the same, and that kind of really understanding where higher education is and what's ahead for it has always been something that I've been interested in, and with a focus on students. But again, it has just been continues to be that I think driving focal point for me in terms of both research and the kind of work I do in the program.
Well, and you have beautifully answered my next question in part, which was to tell us what you most like about teaching, be involved in the HELOS program. But let me go a step further and ask you to talk a little bit about what you might tell prospective students about the HELOS program and why they should consider enrolling. Because as you know, there are how many EDD programs out there around the country. So why should they consider this one?
It goes back to, and I feel fortunate because I think what I'm about to say is something that we hear from other faculty, and I know is an animating force in our program. One, we care about the student experience. It's embedded in the program, and we have, as a collective team, have taken great pains to continue to pay attention to how the program and the work that we do supports students, not just individually, but together collectively. So, as I have heard, and particularly I've worked very closely with ABD students who have enrolled in the program after not completing a previous doctorate. And so they have a different point of comparison. And one of the things that I think I am really thrilled about, but they have said in a variety of forms, not just to me, but is the level of support and guidance and appropriate kind of challenge is quantitatively and qualitatively different. And I think we have worked hard to do that. And, I think for any prospective student, or quite frankly, any faculty member that we look to involve, that is an important understanding of what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, because we're committed to a good quality student experience that in the end is done.
Indeed. So, Dr. Dutka, what do you do for fun?
That's a good question in this sort of as in the waning days of the pandemic. Normally I'd say I travel. That has been a little curtailed, but I do love to travel, and both when and wherever I can. I will have to say, of late, it has been gardening and getting out and trying to. I am not the best of gardeners, but coax some things into growth, and just getting out there and spending some time with a little bit of nature and a little bit of dirt, and seeing the results of that. It's a really, I think, a rewarding way to spend some free time. And other than that, it's family and friends, which I think is probably true for a lot of us.
I was going to say, you garden in more ways than one. You garden in the classroom and you garden in your yard. So we're very, very fortunate to have you involved with the EDD program, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Melissa. It's great talking with you.